All right. So Steve just said something that Tati built on that ties to a couple different conversations we've had in past videos and in real life as well. And I wonder, Steve, if you could maybe unpack a little bit more what you mentioned in regards to the average quote unquote CMO, for example, is going to be able to very soon, if not already, have an AI system set up that could very well not only the CMO could talk to the system and explain the three, four, five different things that are slowing him or her down or problems, opportunities, but the system itself could also proactively surface insights and provide counsel as to next best action or what have you, and help see around corners. And I know Tati, you've got a great example as well. But anyway, I want to give you all the space to do this. But Steve, just dig in a little bit further on that awesome idea and picture you painted, especially for those that are not as technical, about kind of how and why that's possible and like what that actually looks like in terms that are more universal for those that aren't technical per se.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you can kind of see the wave of the market around AI and AI products and AI tools, right? There's just a new thing that's coming out every day, which is great, and it's really around how do you enable the functions within your business. So in the case of marketing, right, how do you come up with various different brand messages and marketing plans and strategies? And so I think there's an aspect of being able to get a corpus of information about a particular brand or data that somebody who knows that brand has been involved with that brand for a significant amount of time. They know the brand feel, the color palette, everything, and putting that information into a system that allows AI to basically understand it and then give ideas back to the marketer, right? So there's aspects of that that are in all industries as well as all functions within a particular business, right? You can do the same thing with CFO. We had a client came to us recently that had a whole bunch of data in spreadsheets, and they really wanted to pull that data out of that spreadsheet. Tati's smiling because she's got examples of that too. But taking documentation that exists within your business and being able to pull out those insights, in a particular domain, is just going to continue to increase and expand the ability to. You said it earlier, which was the time to value aspect. How can I look into that corpus of information, that data that's hidden in Excel spreadsheets, and pull out the insights that are useful to my role and useful to my business?
100%. Let me say one thing real quick, and then Tati, I want to pass it to you, just because Steve just nailed it. But I want to because sometimes folks hear all these different terms, like what does that actually mean, right? So if ChatGPT effectively is a chat-based interface to get to, and I'm oversimplifying, a large language model that's pre-trained and it's yada yada. What Steve is unpacking there is he's speaking to different dimensions of a tech stack that could be one part an LLM that's a great LLM, but it's an LLM, and then it's augmented, right, in a confidential, private, secure way. And sometimes folks refer to this as RAG, retrieval-augmented generation. So you enable the power of an LLM to understand private, secure knowledge that's proprietary and custom to your role, to your company, et cetera, to then use that information to then help you do your job better, more effectively, easier, faster. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that one bit, because I think sometimes folks can think LLM and ChatGPT are the same thing, but in reality, there's a lot of different component parts that folks are now putting together to cook different meals. So the protein is still ChatGPT effectively, but now you're able to do different things with different dishes, and different value comes out of it for the CMO or CFO and what have you. So Tati, I know you have a great example on this front as well.
I do, but before I go into that, I'm actually going to share something I've asked Steve the other day. We were talking about exactly this and how even a few months ago, you had to be thinking about an entire new system that will keep your information confidential, right? That you're worried about your information out there. That's the term that everyone's using. And so much has changed. So I urge you to look into that, because it's no longer, whoever's selling you that 12 to 24 month timeline that they need to build a tool for you that is completely, it's only for your company and is completely tailored. And yes, there's different types of tailoring. We can't, I don't want to make it super generic comment here to be taken out of context, but essentially there's so much advancement to that. And it's so much easier to control all of that today than it was, I don't know, 3 months ago, Steve, a month ago, something like that.
Yeah.
We were having this exact conversation, but the example we were talking about is, and I love your point earlier, is how AI really can help you see, if it's built correctly, it can help you see, it can help you identify where your blind spots are, right? So I had a couple of examples, but one very specific one. I had built this agent that's helping me interview. So in what it does is the way I prepare for these interviews, of course, you're researching the company, you're researching the business, you're researching the folks you're going to work with, etc. And what this is helping me see is, how do I connect my experience with what they're doing? How do I see the things that they've done? So I have this sort of guide of information new and updated on what the company's been up to, etc. So again, I'm asking the right questions and all of that. But the interesting part is that I built this to think about where my gaps will be versus their business, or what they need, and where will be the strengths, etc. But this agent goes beyond that, because it knows me, and it knows me so well by now that it says, is it okay if I share a few concerns that I have? And I said, sure, you can share the concerns. And it then goes on to give me a short list of questions that I should be asking, because it doesn't believe, and this is a quote, I don't believe this is the right fit for your skill set. So I asked a few more questions, and to make a really long story short, essentially it was that the type of transformation experience, the type of turnaround experience that I was bringing to the business wouldn't really be as valuable, because it was a highly regulated business, because it was a business that was working with razor thin margins, and there wouldn't be the opportunity to create the same type of transformation. So it had some really specific questions and really specific things I hadn't thought about. And the short of the long story is that it was right. When I asked those questions, it was true that there were some really big red flags and some really big concerns out there. So I think that was a moment of magic experience, because I didn't instruct it to do that. Yeah. But that's where I really saw that moment of magic of like, all right, yeah, this is really helping me be better at what I'm doing, right? How can I ask better questions? How can it help me see around the corner?
Yeah,
what's really cool about that is
go Steve, please.
Yeah, is the agent knew you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be really interesting as all this kind of goes forward, is kind of this concept of a personal agent that knows Tati, that can answer questions based off of your questions to it, right? So the concept of it knowing you, and it knowing that maybe that wasn't the right fit, is super huge. And you can see that across like everything that we do in our daily life, whether it's customer support or what Alec is shopping for, right? All these fun things. So.
Yeah, I laugh because everyone knows how horrible my shopping experiences are. That being said, I love both of those stories, and I'm going to say the Captain Obvious thing, but just I don't know. I'm in that kind of zone today. Is I think what is super exciting about these very different examples is that you all are doing a great job, Tati and Steve, in helping, I think, people see the magic of where all of this stuff is now currently sits and where it's headed. So an example would be, you could have multiple AI agents that are all operating on top of the same shared, knowledge and data set that you as a human being can always, verify, and you as a human being can always contribute to. But each of your agents are starting to become more and more specialized, just like employees in a business are specialized, right? So the folks that work on the CFO's team are quite different than the folks that work on the CMO's team, each of which contribute lots of value. But imagine agents that replicate dimensions of nuanced understanding of each and all of those various functions to create a much better way and a harmonious way for humans and these machines to operate together, so that Tati doesn't make a potentially, I don't know how big the mistake, very well, or mistake's probably not the right word for it, but how you don't make a suboptimal decision that could be annoying, frustrating, and time consuming, and or a CMO, which is the most dangerous job in corporate America right now, maybe he or she is able to extend his or her effectiveness into areas where they can stick around for longer, right? Because the machines are helping you do things and see things that previously were just not economically feasible to invest human hours and or labor, or we don't have the capacity, right? It's just too much work and you got to prioritize. So I think that's what you guys did a great job of helping people see, because it's a lot. And now I think with these types of stories, you can really say, hey, I can see how these agents can help me see around corners, and how one agent is more specialized to finance and operations versus another one over here in marketing. And they get smarter and smarter and smarter. And then they feed back into the system, which gives everybody more knowledge to work off of.
Yeah. And you can string those agents together or chain them together with the ability to run a particular analysis or workflow within one domain or one system, and then pull back information, and then another one over here pulling back information, and then combining it together for deeper insights, whether that's individual insights for Tati, or business insights as it relates to those agents knowing a particular business, how it's run, what they do, what their brand is, etc.
And it works in the exact same way, to your point, Steve. And that's part of the examples, a part of the work that I've been doing is sharing with companies. Like, how can, when we talk about, because again, it sounds to a business leader like, oh, you can have immediate results. You can have it sounds like a sad sales pitch, right? It sounds like snake oil salesman that's going around and telling you, buy this bridge. But the truth is that it can. Because if you build, and again, it requires that, what I mentioned earlier, there's the hand holding, there's a variety of things that need to be true in order for that to be the most effective. But, remember the old cartoons and they put the X-ray glasses on things, and you can see much further and you can see everything much better. And it feels that way when you get this done right, and it feels, and it's at a micro level, but when stringed together, it has immense impact. And this specific thing, just to answer your comment, Alec, it would have been a really big decision. It would, it opened my eyes. It gave me the X-ray glasses on something that I wouldn't have otherwise taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think we'll leave it there, but I hope that these stories help people kind of connect some dots in a more tangible way, because I know a lot of this stuff can sound similar. We'll just leave it at that. But I love those stories, Steve and Tati. Those are awesome. So we'll catch up again next time.
Cheers.
Yeah.